Hello everyone, I have read a book again, but this time about living simple with children. I borrowed this from the library and it had really good advice for living simple with the children. And this is a book from Marie Sherlock, and it is about Americans and a little bit about other countries too, but most of it is from the American culture. And this book is from 2003, I think, so it's quite old, but it had a good reflecting words in it. So I have reflected a lot here now, and I want to share some of this with you. I want to read here a sentence from the book. Action speaks louder than words. I try to be a role model and hope that they pay attention. Practicing to be sure drives home your message quicker than preaching. This is true whether your kids are still in preschool or about to enter college. If you aren't committed to living simple, both in theory and in practice, they will call you a bluff. And that means when we learn our children to be careful about the environment and we learn them the values, they have to see that we also go after the values. And a big example for that is the talking about how much children sit in front of the TV. And she also says this in the book. If you, as a parent, sit a lot in front of the TV, of course your children are gonna do it too. You have to show the children what is right or wrong. And they don't gonna do as you say, they're gonna do as you do. And I want to repeat myself that this book is from 2003, so it's over 20 years ago. But when she read that book, one American used the same amount energy that 531 Ethiopian used. And I think that is so big differences. And I know Ethiopian is not a rich country in that way. Either now they have a lot of problem, but it's so big difference, 1 to 531. Here in Sweden, we take a lot of our recycling to the recycling bin. And we have different bins for everything. And I know it's not like that in all countries. But she say some communities in America, they have built up that they have containers a certain time under the year where they can put the garbage in, or they can put out the stuff they don't want anymore. And that is really good. And then she reflect on this in the book and say, but isn't the point that we're gonna stop consuming? And of course it's good that you have a place to throw your used item in, but isn't the idea that we stop buy items who soon gonna end up in that container? And I try to stop waste money on your stuff I don't want, and I have done this a lot of years, that I write up everything I spent my money on, so I know where it goes. And I have talked about this before, and also I have posted this in my blog, that some years I have spent so much money on craft supplies, shopping for clothes, shoes, I have not done this for the last couple of years, and the reason for that is, yes, number one, money. It costs a lot of money, and we change. I have changed so much, so the hobbies I had before, I don't longer have that. And also, why should we buy stuff who then gonna end up in the landfill, in a container? And now I feel like the stuff don't have the same quality as the pieces who was before. And that's why we shopping vintage, right? Because we want to buy stuff who last a really long time. And the fast fashion we have today is not meant to last a long time. So if you really want to live simple, buy stuff who are gonna last a long time and that you know for sure you're gonna use for a long time. And put little extra money on the quality instead of the quantity. And how to make the children live simple. Because today you have to have a lot of activities for your children. It almost like, now it's like the status if you have a lot of things to do and you can buy a lot of stuff. And simple living parents want to go against that. And my son, he have floorball and he play football, almost for free football one time every week. And for he is beneficial because when he don't play sport, he don't know where he's gonna do with himself. He's a child who really have to move. But I have seen that other kids have football, they have ice hockey, they have floorball, they have they singing, they swimming, they go to a lot of activities. And my son is 8, so his classmates are the same age. They born 2016. And some of the children have 3 activities. That means that with match they have on the weekends, they are never free. And this is something simple living parents want to go against, because we don't want our children to be stressed when they're 8 years old. And the community who is right now and the society who is right now make everyone stressed. And we want to keep the children as long as possible, even if we want to teach them how to be a grown-up. She suggests that you have a free day every week where you don't plan anything. And I for myself think that's really hard, because now when I study, I feel I have to do everything in the weekend because I can't do it under the day, because I study under the day. And sometimes I also study in the evenings and in the weekends, and I know that's not good, but I feel I have to do that to keep on track on everything. And because my brain works a little bit slower after a treatment I get. And I try to not do so much in the weekend. And before I study, I always did everything I needed to do on the days in the week, because I wanted to have my weekends free. And I'm gonna try to take down the amount of stuff I have to do. And I have in my head that I want to be productive, and that I want to be productive under the week so I can take the weekend off. But because everything is new right now in school, it's a lot. But I'm working for that. I want to go back to have the weekend free and do whatever I want. But as I say, she pronounced that you have one day every week that you don't plan anything. You take the day as it comes. And some people go so far that they even not have their advices, telephone, TV, anything electronic under that day, just to focus on the family and do family activities. One thing I'm a little insecure about that you write down is to learn your children money on an early age. And she have interviewed a lot of simple living parents. I have like a fly here, don't want to kill it. She have talked with a lot of Simple Living parents, and she talk about them in this book also. And all of them say that they learn the children about money. And I also do that. And I have done that with my daughter also. She's 20 now. I have done that under her whole lifetime. I talked about money. My father did that with me and my sister. My mother, she was the opposite. She never talked money with us. But I feel if you're gonna learn, you have to talk money. But at the same time, I feel that this go against that we should keep them child as long as possible. And I have never reflected on that before I read it in this book about the fact that is children really children if we talk about money with them? Let me know in the comment what you think, and I'm gonna continue to reflect on this question, because of course we want to learn them. Because if we see to Sweden culture, where I come from, many young people are in so big debt that they never gonna be able to pay it back. When you can't pay, it goes to a certain company where they try to bring in the money. When you are in this big debt and you can't pay, you can't take any loan, you are not allowed to stand on an apartment, and there is a lot of issue coming out, and the fees you have to pay over the money you borrow is so big. So we need in this society to talk money with our children, right? Because it is a really big problem. And it's a lot of problem that many of this debt is just shopping. And it's so a shame, because I try to explain home here. If you buy something for, I just take here now, 10,000 Swedish krona, then you probably have to pay 15 back. And the longer you wait, the more money you have to pay back. So if you wait a couple of years, you're probably gonna pay back 25 for the 10 you borrowed. It's so waste of money. So we always have to keep in mind that we don't buy anything that we don't have money for. And of course, I have also been in the situation where I don't have money to pay for the regular stuff, like food, the rent. This is like, if you have to borrow for this, you have to borrow to protect your children. But don't borrow money just to waste it on clothes, toys, stuff for the home. Always make sure that you have the money already before you buy something. And there is a book she talks about a lot in this book, and I'm gonna see if I can borrow this from the library. And the book's name is Your Money or Your Life. And I think that word speaks for itself, right? Do you choose your money or do you choose your life? Of course, we want to choose the life, right? Because why should we earn money if we can't enjoy it? She have little frugal tips here, and I'm gonna read them for you. When you're gonna buy something, ask yourself, do we actually need this? And do this align with our family values? Thrift whenever possible. I saw a video yesterday on YouTube where a woman, she lived with her son in a tiny house, and she told everything have to have at least 2 purposes. So if you have like a stool to sit on, it also have to be something you can stand on, or you can open it to put stuff in. I see many have this table where you can lift the top up and you have it like a desk or a dining table. It's just if you have a small house, and I see many small houses on YouTube and they have that. And I think that's really good. Like, everything have to have at least 2 purposes. Do other stuff than shopping. Reuse, repair, restore, refresh, and refurbish. And then she also say you get the picture of that. And don't think that the status come from the possessions. Society say it is that way. I don't think it's true. The status about you comes from you, the values you have, how you see the environment, how you protect the environment, what you do to be happy in your life. I think a lot of this is status, because why work all the time if you never have time to enjoy the life? She also talked that many slow living parents, they eat lower on the food chain, and that means that we eat a lot of vegetables and not so much red meat. And since I became a slow liver, and it's not go together with that, but at the same time I stopped eat red meat. I still eat it sometimes, but I don't eat the regular beef anymore, and that's because I don't think it tastes good anymore. And I think it's also like in my brain that I really want to live simple, and then I also want to go after the simple living method, and that is to, number one, often is to reduce the stress in our lives and go against the high fast fashion, go against the stress in the society, and also think more about the environment. And I have always been what man can say an environmental girl. I always think about the environment. We always have composting in my family home. Not here, because we don't have a compost here when I live in this apartment. But when they get this here, I of course gonna composting. My parents always composting everything from the garden and the food. And also like I recycle everything I can recycle. It's plastic, it's paper, it's glass bottles, it's metallic, it's magazines, we have batteries, we have different kinds. And right now I drive around with my micro in the car because it's broken, and I'm gonna go and take this out. But it's a little bit to drive, not too far away, but I don't want to drive there just to leave a micro because it's not good for the environment. So I wait until I have a little more stuff I'm gonna throw out, and then I'm gonna go there and recycle this also. But until then, this micro sits in the car. Something really interesting from this book, and I think this reflects the society we live in. But she say that a preschooler, that studies indicate that preschoolers laugh around 400 till 500 times every day. And the studies also show that grown-up adult people laugh 7 till 15 times every day. I don't know if I even laugh 7 times every day, because it is a stressful environment we live in. But that is so big difference between 7 and 400. It's like, what happened? You are happy when you are a preschooler, but you are not happy when you are an adult. And why is we not happy as an adult? Because we live in the stressful environment. We don't have time to stop, reflect, think about ourselves. We just go in the square wheel and just run around to haunt money so we can buy the stuff that we then gonna manage. It just go around and around and around in the circles. And I try so hard to go away from that circle. And I already talked about this in previous videos, that I feel that I want to go more into the slow living method, but the last couple of months have just pushed me back from that. And it's like I struggle to go back to that, and the society or the environment here just push me back. But I am a person who never give up, so I gonna do my best. And I talked with my husband yesterday that we should be happy probably if we lived, it's the fly again. We should be happy if we lived in a house so it's not so close to other people. We have the garden, do our own vegetables. We have a smaller house. If I can choose, I want to build a tiny house, but not on wheel. And I don't want to bend like these people do in the tiny house. I want to stand up everywhere. This fly really want to come to me. And I want to let the dogs run outside and my son play football in the yard. I want to see the forest. I want to see the open land. I don't want to, like now, if I look out, I see into the neighbor's house. I know how their living room look like from my living room. And I don't want that. I want to have space around me. I feel the society is so crowded right now, even if I live in Sweden, where we have not so many people for the area we have. But it's just... Now Dino is yelling. It's not what I am after, you know. I'm after the slow living. Just breathe and feel the... Just breathe and feel the fresh air outside from the nature. That's what I want, and that's what I'm gonna strive for until I get what I want. And I'm not a quitter, so I always push myself till I come to the point where I want to be. I was thinking also about the school, because she talked a lot about the school in this book, in the end of this book. And I know that you Americans, if you see this, and I know probably other countries also can homeschool their children. And I think, as you know, it's positive and negative effect of everything. The negative you can see is that some children are really bad treated home and the society don't notice it. You can read it on the news sometimes. But the good thing is that you can actually spend more time with your children and learn them what you feel you want to learn them and what they are interested in. Because now when I read occupational therapy, and also, so I see it from a different view now, and also when I have two children who have ADHD, and my son, he don't have this on paper yet, but he's standing in line for it. I see so clear that the Swedish school is not meant to be for someone who isn't in the box. So we have a lot of arguing with the school because they don't give him what he wants. So in this case, if I could choose, I should homeschool him, because I think that this should be better for him and for me also, because I can't control what's happening in school. In this case, it's really good to be homeschooling your children. And they can choose for themselves what they like to do. If he's interested in something, like he's really interested in football, he could study a little of this, read a book about this. But now they want him to fit in this box, and he's outside this box. And we go a course right now that they explained. A regular child in this box is like a Volvo. And if you know Volvo is Swedish, it's safe, you can always trust a Volvo. But my son is like a Ferrari. It's going really fast. He crashed because he can't control the car right now. He can't control the car yet, that he is the Ferrari. And the school treat every children like a Volvo here in Sweden. And it's be like a crash there, because you can't treat a Ferrari like a Volvo. Either way, if you take it to a place to fix it, it's still gonna be a Ferrari, right? And I see this so clear now. So in this situation, I really wished that I could homeschool my child, so he get everything that he need in his life. And that was everything for today. And I wish you a good day, a good evening, a good night, wherever you are in the world. And I see you in the next video. Bye bye.